Eala just walked onto a clay court in Austria for the first time in her professional career at a WTA 500 event and made it look like she had been playing on clay her entire life. Julia Grabher never found a way in. The result was clean, decisive, and exactly the kind of opening statement a player makes when she means business from the very first point. With Tony Nadal now part of her coaching team and her movement already improved heading into the clay season, do you think Eala can make a deep run at Linz and carry that momentum all the way to Roland Garros? Drop your prediction in the comments. Let's start with the result and then work backwards through everything that made it possible.
Well, she has made a habit of this today. With her supporters watching. Oh yeah, brilliant. Well, a forehand. 33 service points to just 15 for Grabher.
Hello mga kababayan. Hindi ko inakala ang dami ninyo dito sa Linz, pero salamat sa pagsubaybay sa mga laban ko at magkita tayo tomorrow. Yes.
Eala defeated Julia Grabher 6-4, 6-3 in their first-round match at the WTA 500 Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open. It was their first ever meeting on the WTA Tour. Grabher is ranked 87th in the world and reached a career high of 54th in June 2023. She is an experienced professional who knows how to compete at this level and who was playing in front of what amounted to a home crowd in Austria. None of that mattered by the time the match was done. The first set was competitive at the start. Eala and Grabher went back and forth, and the match had the feeling of two players still testing each other, still working out the patterns and tendencies that the other was going to present. Then Eala took control. She did not take control dramatically or with a single defining moment. She took control the way players who have been trained correctly take control, through consistent pressure, through making the right decisions repeatedly, through making the opponent feel like every rally was going slightly the wrong direction for them, even when they were doing nothing obviously wrong. The second set told a cleaner story. Grabher tried to respond. She attempted to find a way back into the match and change the dynamics of what was happening. But Eala was not in a mood to allow disruptions to the momentum she had built. She closed out 6-3, and the match was done. Now let's talk about the context of this result, because it matters significantly more than the scoreline alone. This was Eala's first professional match on clay at the WTA 500 level. She said it herself before the tournament. This is her first 500 level clay event. And that fact alone says something about how much she has improved from where she was 12 months ago. WTA 500 events are the step below the Premier events and the Grand Slams. They attract quality fields. The players who compete at this level consistently are established tour professionals who have been through enough competitive matches to understand how to handle different surfaces, different conditions, and different opponents. Winning your first ever 500 level clay match against a player ranked 87th in the world, in that player's home country, in your debut, at that tournament is not a small thing. It is an opening statement, and Eala made it clearly. The tournament itself has a 35-year history on the WTA Tour, and Eala acknowledged the significance of competing there for the first time. She described Linz as cozy and quaint. She talked about how the indoor clay setup, with heaters running because it is cold in Austria in April, creates a unique atmosphere that differs from the typical outdoor clay tournaments that dominate the European spring swing. The courts themselves are built and dismantled quickly, creating a surface that plays slightly differently from standard clay. She was aware of all of this and had prepared for it. The preparation piece is where the real story of this result lives. Before arriving in Linz, Eala returned to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca for clay court training. And the coaching team she had around her for that transition is worth discussing specifically because one addition changes the entire picture of what that preparation looked like. Tony Nadal is now part of Eala's coaching team when she is at the academy, the uncle of Rafael Nadal, the man who was Rafael Nadal's primary coach throughout the most dominant stretch of his career, including multiple French Open titles and the development of the clay court game that made Nadal essentially unbeatable on that surface for the better part of a decade. That Tony Nadal. Eala talked about what it means to have him involved. She said if someone had told her years ago that Tony Nadal would be on court with her, her mind would have been blown. She said he brings knowledge that is genuinely unique, not just general tennis knowledge, but the specific understanding of how to construct a game on clay that comes from spending decades working with the greatest clay court player the sport has ever seen. She was careful to describe the team structure accurately. Joan Bosch and Sandro Vienne handle her tennis coaching. Luc Bausa manages her fitness. Tony Nadal works with all of them when she is at the academy. It is a collaborative system where each person brings a specific contribution, and the whole thing functions as what Eala described as a well-oiled machine with good vibes. The good vibes are not just a nice sentiment. They matter functionally because elite performance in individual sports is intimately connected to the environment the athlete operates in. A coaching team that trusts each other, communicates effectively, and creates an atmosphere of collective investment in the player's development is a significant competitive advantage. The fact that Eala described her team that way, and that the results across the last year have backed up the claim that the environment is working, should be taken seriously. She also said something specific about her physical development that is worth paying attention to. She said she is moving better this year than she did last year. On clay, movement is everything. The ability to slide into position, recover after wide balls, and maintain lateral quickness over extended rallies determines whether a player's game translates to the surface or gets neutralized by it. Eala's movement being demonstrably better heading into the clay season is not a minor improvement. It is one of the fundamental building blocks of clay court success. The Rafa Nadal Academy shaped her game from the foundation up. Topspin heavy ground strokes that push opponents deep, patient baseline play. Fitness built to sustain long exchanges without losing physical or mental sharpness. These are clay court qualities by design. The Academy's philosophy was built around the greatest clay court player who ever lived, and the players who come through it carry the fingerprints of that philosophy in how they approach competition on the surface. Eala has been playing on hard courts for the past several months. Indian Wells and Miami are both hard court events, and she had significant results at both. The transition to clay happens in roughly a week. She acknowledged that was not much time, but she also said every training day during that week was treated with intention, not going through motions, not treating it as a warm-up period before the real work begins. Every session counted, and the team approached it that way. The result against Grabher suggests the transition worked. There is also a detail from the lead-up to Linz that deserves a moment of attention because it perfectly captures the human side of this story. Eala was on a run in the city with her coach and discovered a Filipino food store. She did not indulge. She mentioned that it was a bit dangerous for the diet. But the discovery made her smile, and she said something that has become a recurring theme in how she talks about her global experience. Filipinos, she said, are really everywhere. This is the same observation that comes up every time she competes anywhere in the world. Melbourne is full of them. The Middle East is full of them. Linz, Austria apparently has a Filipino food store that a Filipino tennis player discovered on a training run. The Filipino diaspora's reach is genuinely remarkable, and Eala has become the athletic focal point for that community in a way that no Filipino athlete at the international level has matched in recent memory. What that means for the Linz crowd is interesting to consider. This is not Manila. This is not Miami. This is Austria in April, and the tournament is primarily a European event. But the Filipino community will have found a way to follow this. The live streams will be running from Quezon City to Toronto to Dubai to wherever in the world Filipinos are living and watching and caring about what happens on a clay court in Central Europe. That support does not disappear because of geography. Now the next round. Because the draw did not give Eala an easy path after the Grabher win, she faces Jelena Ostapenko in the round of 16, the 2017 French Open champion, world number 23, as of the tournament date, a player known for one of the most aggressive and unpredictable games on the entire WTA tour. Massive flat ground strokes hit with a pace and directness that very few players can match when she is in full flow. Ostapenko beat some of the best players in the world to win Roland Garros, and she has spent the years since demonstrating that she can still produce that level when everything is working. On clay, Ostapenko is a unique opponent because her game does not fit the conventional clay court profile. She does not grind. She does not build points patiently. She hits through the surface rather than adapting to it. The pace she generates can be genuinely overwhelming, and the randomness of her shot selection, The willingness to go for a winner on any ball from any position creates a chaotic rhythm that many players find difficult to solve tactically. For Eala, the tactical challenge against Ostapenko is specific. Ostapenko thrives when rallies stay short and explosive. She struggles when opponents force her to play more balls and sustain a higher defensive workload. Eala's game, patient, physically demanding, heavy topspin that pushes opponents deep, is the kind of game that theoretically makes Ostapenko uncomfortable if applied correctly. The movement that Eala described as improved heading into this season will matter enormously against someone who hits as flat and hard as Ostapenko. Getting positioned early, absorbing the pace rather than fighting it, and redirecting the ball in ways that move Ostapenko rather than allowing her to stand in the center of the court and attack. These are the keys to making that match difficult for the French Open champion, rather than comfortable. Last year at Miami, Eala beat the number 5 and number 2 players in the world as a wild card. She has demonstrated the ability to perform above her ranking against elite competition when the moment arrives. Ostapenko, at world number 23, is challenging, but not at the level of those Miami opponents in terms of ranking. The clay surface gives Eala specific tools that the hard courts in Florida did not. Her topspin loads up more on clay. Her movement patterns, the sliding, the positioning, suit her game on this surface. Tony Nadal's knowledge of how to construct clay court points and how to approach elite opponents on the surface is now available to her as a coaching resource in a way it has never been before. The result against Grabher was clean. The preparation was deliberate. The coaching team is the best it has ever been, and the round of 16 at a WTA 500 clay event is exactly the kind of stage where Eala has been demonstrating her ability to rise rather than retreat. First clay match of the season at a WTA 500 level. First meeting with Grabher. First time competing in Austria. All of it resolved in a clean 6-4, 6-3 result that puts Eala into the round of 16 against a former French Open champion. The clay season is just getting started. Subscribe, drop your thoughts below, and hit that like button.